Thank you, and thank you for all for joining us. I am privileged to have all of you joining us, no matter where you are. For me, I'm in Los Angeles, so it's just 7 a.m. So forgive me if the coffee hasn't quite kicked in yet, but I'm going to do my absolute best for you. We're going to start with a short video this morning that Claudia is going to begin for me, which is an introduction to the Evolved Traveler and our philosophy. After that, I will begin our presentation today on the mindfulness of sustainable tourism. So with that, Claudia, if you'd be so kind to start the video.
Margaret Mead said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." And what if we can change the world? What if our travels allowed us to be one of those thoughtful, committed citizens that through our journeys we could contribute to our global community and change the world through the simple realization that kindness and goodwill are not isolated acts. Kindness and goodwill are a way of life. We are the Evolved Traveler. We believe we make a difference simply living that lifestyle. And in a world of rapid change and interconnectedness, we believe travel must evolve to embody these same virtues, to be conscious of our footprints, both figurative and literal, wherever we go, to be mindful and respectful of the cultures and communities we visit, to genuinely engage with other peoples so that we can better understand and appreciate them and the destinations we visit, and to realize we are part of something greater than ourselves, something that must be protected and preserved. Our concept is simple: to travel with a purpose and to know that through our travels we strengthen the global community by being citizens of the world, not consumers of it. We invite you to share our vision of what travel can be. We invite you to see the difference we can make together. We invite you to evolve your journey.
All right, thank you everybody for your patience. Once again, thank you for joining us. Justin Smith, I'm the founder of the Evolved Traveler, and today we are speaking about the mindfulness of sustainable tourism. And we have titled it the mindfulness of sustainable tourism because I'd like this to be more of a discussion rather than throwing facts and figures at you. I would like you to come away knowing that you've learned a little bit about how you can take just some easy components and aspects of sustainable tourism and take them with you wherever they go. Just a quick brief on me. I've had the pleasure of being in the travel industry for the last 35 years, working for companies such as Royal Viking, Holland America, A&K, Trafcoa, and Crystal Cruises. And that's provided me the wonderful opportunity of having traveled around the world. A few years ago, I began to understand the importance of sustainability in travel and felt that we were at a fork in the road, that we needed to address this, that it not only was something that was great for marketing, but in reality, it was something that was becoming very critical, that many of us in the industry were really not aware of the effects, often the negative effects, that tourism was having on the world. Fortunately, in just a few years, we've come a long way. And that was part of the genesis of the Evolved Traveler. So today, being that it is the mindfulness of sustainable tourism, I'm promising you no bar graphs, no statistics, and no pie charts. I'd like to have a conversation with you today and bridge from where we are and how we can get into sustainable tourism a little bit more. I think that providing you with statistics and graphs and everything is about as interesting as a trigonometry test. So I'd rather make it a little bit lighter, and my apologies to anybody who might very much be into trigonometry. I myself am not. So what is sustainable tourism? The United Nations World Tourism Organization defines it as tourism that takes full account of its current and future economic, social, and environmental impacts, addressing the needs of visitors, the industry, the environment, and our host communities. To me, this is the most short, concise, and spot on definition of what sustainable tourism is. And it's essentially what we, the Evolved Traveler, build our sustainability policies around. So, to me, what I find offensive at times is when people call sustainability a trend. It is not a trend. To me, a trend is something that is short-lived and or popular for a short time. That is not the case, nor should it be with sustainable tourism. Sustainable tourism is not a singular experience. If you were to take a journey with the Evolved Traveler or any other tour outfitter for that matter, nobody is going to say today we're going to take you on a half-day sustainable tourism tour. Sustainable tourism is a blanket or umbrella approach to travel and hopefully would be seen as such. What sustainability is a critical issue. This is something that we in the travel industry must address unilaterally. And right now, I think we've got a long way to go, but there are a number of companies who really are making this a core component of their practices. The thing with sustainability is we can't do it all. We can literally probably drive ourselves crazy. That even while it is a critical issue, it doesn't mean that we need to go to extremes. There's probably one of 1,000 different things that we can do, but the best thing we can do is to take some short, simple practices and apply them to our travels, because with that, we will make a difference. And there's something that we can all do on our journeys, and that will always have a positive snowball effect. So my point today is not to say, worry about your luggage being sustainable, worry about your house being sustainable, or any other number of things. It's taking it to some very simple core philosophies. And what are those philosophies? Reducing the negative impact on our environment, maximizing economic benefits to local communities we visit, protecting and enhancing cultural heritage, and working for the conservation and preservation of all animals. So let's begin with reducing our negative impact on our environment. This is a couple of different roads both within this subject. We all know that this is what we would love to see our beaches look like, not this. And unfortunately, we see that this is the case too many times these days. So what do we do as far as environmental practices? We simply travel with a compass. We reduce, we reuse, and we recycle. In other words, we do more with less. We cut out single-use plastics. We bring recyclable eating utensils and straws. We use reusable water bottles But one thing on that is we want to make sure that we're also using water to fill those reusable water bottles from a sustainable source, not just coming from other plastic water bottles that it obviously isn't going to have any other effect. Environmental practices also pertain to awareness of our specific destinations and the impact we have. And one of the examples I'm going to give you is Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu, when it was built by the Incans, housed 700 to 800 people total. Today, there are an average of 2,500 visitors per day at Machu Picchu. That's the equivalent of a small earthquake on the property every day. So it's very obvious that that is taking an environmental toll. So it's being aware of the specific destinations and the impact we are having on them as well. That would fall within environmental. In other words, it's being aware of our footprint at the specific destination we visit. One of the things we do at the Evolved Traveler is also offset carbon footprint. We do this on all of our journeys by donating a portion of proceeds to carbonfund.org. So there are other organizations that allow you to offset carbon footprint. The best part of this to me, and surprisingly to many people, is that it's actually very inexpensive to do so. A few short searches will allow you to find different organizations that will allow you to offset your carbon footprint, including your air, your automobiles, and your activities while touring. Next, let's move on to maximizing economic benefits to the local community. Excuse me. One of the parts of maximizing benefits to the local community is buying from local businesses during our travel. And this is something that is usually an unknown aspect or unknown component of sustainable tourism. Far too often, the money that is spent on our holidays does not stay at destinations benefiting the local or the local communities. For example, the area I like to use for this is the Caribbean islands, where it's estimated that for every US dollar or Great Britain pound spent by tourists, 80% of it leaves the island. It's what we call the bleed. And in actuality, in most cases, it would be more comparable to a hemorrhage. So once again, that is 80% of the tourism dollars or pounds spent on Caribbean destinations leaves the islands, not benefiting the locals. That's what we try to do or mitigate when we say maximize the economic benefits to the local communities. By ensuring that we're purchasing from locally owned businesses and that they are benefiting from it, we help to put more money directly into the hands of the locals, the people who need it the most, and not other big corporations. It's hard to imagine that with anywhere from 2 to 10 ships a day in many of these ports, certainly a number of resorts on any given island, that amount of money would be leaving the island, not benefiting the locals. So one of the best things you can do is to buy locally when you're on holiday, and even ask the vendors that you're buying from, is this made locally? Are you benefiting from this? That to me is one of the most important aspects of this. I apologize. Protecting and enhancing cultural heritage. How are we engaging with local people? Are we showing respect for their culture, which can be simple things like not asking to take their picture without permission, or if you're to visit a village or a community, are they involved with the process of your visit? Or is it something that is being imposed on them, maybe simply for financial gain? So while it's a short-term gain, are they maintaining their culture in the process? Again, I'm going to use Peru as an example. One of the things that's happening along the Inca Trail is that kids are picking up video games and other more Western or first world country habits because of people that are traveling along the Inca Trail. They're not learning their own culture, it's not being retained. That is a key component to sustainable tourism, is allowing the local communities we visit to continue to thrive in their native culture without us diluting or gentrifying it, to actually try to enhance it and protect. That is always a great question to ask the tour operator, your travel advisor, or if you are a travel advisor, the companies, the DMCs that you're working with on the other end. Are the local communities benefiting from our visit? And if so, how so? If they're not aware of the answer to that, they should be able to get that for you. But protecting and enhancing cultural heritage is a really important aspect of sustainable tourism because, in actuality, we travel, go and see different places with different cultures. And what would it be if it were all gentrified? So, to me, this is one that I really try to make sure that we adhere to at the Evolved Traveler. Another component of this um, is that I apologize, my um, jumping forward here. Another component of this is protecting cultural heritage. One example I'm going to give is that children are not tourist attractions. Often we look to visit schools, sometimes orphanages, or other locations that involve children. This used to be a common practice. It is not something that should be practiced anymore. One, it objectifies the children. It creates an expectation on their part that when they have visitors, they will be bringing gifts and supplies. And it is not something that we would do at home. For example, if I came and visited one of you, be it in New York, Omaha, London, Paris, wherever it may be, I would not say, why don't we go down to the elementary school and look at the children or see the children? Unfortunately, we live in a day and age where that would get most of us arrested. So the point is, it really is not okay to do that in other places. That is not an authentic engagement with the local community, nor is it protecting their culture. So there are other ways to work with this, to work with organizations that do supply the needed school supplies and materials that children in second or third world nations would need for their schooling and or other organizations. This is something that we do, what we call the evolved experience, where we do a philanthropic aspect of our tours. It usually is an afternoon or a day. We work with the Sol y Luna Foundation in Peru, and in Vietnam, we work with an organization called Lifestart, which provides hospitality jobs for at-risk or disadvantaged youth. We engage there so that we can involve ourselves with the community, so that we are reaching out and doing something positive, and of course, trying to make that positive impact. But we do not involve children in our tours. Finally, we work for the conservation and preservation of all animals. We at the Evolved Traveler have an animal policy that's written right into our website under About Us, and it reads as follows. We at the Evolved Traveler promise not to involve ourselves or our guests in any activities which cause harm, discomfort, or danger to animals of any kind, nor will we leave, nor will we engage our guests in activities that involve contact with endangered species or captive wild animals. We will also not offer rides on elephants at any point. This is what an elephant should look like. They should be viewed and respected in the wild. They are not meant to look like this. I know that's very graphic, nor should they look like this. Elephants that are used for rides in places like Thailand or India are broken. And we don't believe that this should be the practice. All wild animals should be viewed in the wild and protected as such. They're not, if you are seeing animals do something such as painting, throwing basketballs, or walking a tightrope, things that they would never be doing in the wild, then please do not participate in those activities. It is doing no good for these wonderful animals. To conclude, sustainable tourism, this is a quote that I was asked in a recent interview, and this was the answer to the question that I was asked. And what I said at the beginning was that I wanted to provide a few short components or aspects that could be takeaways today that we could be mindful of, not carrying around a list of, okay, this is sustainable, this is not. That does not make for an enjoyable holiday or vacation. Sustainable tourism is a complex issue, and there truly is no one size fits all solutions to the number of challenges it presents. It is going to require our attention for decades to come, and it is something that we, and I know many other companies, make a priority. So it simply is going and practicing whatever sustainable tourism components are available to you. You can't apply 100% 100% of the time. So do what you can do, and ultimately we're going to have a positive effect. I am not here to say that these are the only components of sustainable travel. There are many. In fact, if you looked it up on UNESCO or the Global Council for Sustainable Tourism, you would find pages and pages of what sustainable tourism is. Apply what works for you. That's going to vary from destination to destination. But if you all practice just a little bit, even the most basic components together, we will make a positive impact. And as I said earlier, that will have a snowball effect. But it's something we simply all must be mindful of. Thank you for your time today. I am truly flattered that you took the time to join me. My name is Justin Smith. I am the owner and founder of the Evolved Traveler. My contact information is there in the upper right corner, and our website is down just below the thank you. So at this time, I will be happy to take questions, and I'm going to try to get back to that screen. Okay, first question. Thank you for your webinar. My question is, if you are focusing on sustainable travel, why are you not focusing on travel within America? That is a very good question. With my company, our expertise is simply international. To be honest with you, I have had the good fortune of seeing a great deal of the world. I probably have seen more of the world than I have of my own country, and I say that regularly, and it is not a, I wish that were a little bit different, but our expertise is international, not on domestic travel. So good question. We just simply are geared towards international. Next question is, what is the greenest way to fly in reference to carbon offense? And can I recommend the most environmental airlines for green tips for traveling? I would say the best way to fly with green is to simply go to organizations, again, like carbonfund.org or other organizations, which there are multiple, and there are sections where you can put in the flights that you're taking, and it will give you the amount of what it would cost to offset that. And when I say it's very cheap, it's very cheap. It could be something as little as $20 to say, offset your carbon footprint between Los Angeles and London round trip. So it's well worth it. I cannot specifically say what are the most environmental airlines. You have a great many that are beginning to look that way, that are looking to offset their fuel consumption, but we can also add to that as individuals and contribute to that. So again, snowball effect. Next question again, could we work with American local communities to support sustainable travel? That is correct. Again, we are not working on with domestic travel at this time, but it is something we might be looking at in the near future, particularly for destinations that would be much more nature oriented, such as Alaska, a personal favorite of mine. I've worked up there a great deal and in fact was born in Alaska. So it is in the future, but right now, again, we're not working domestically. Our next question is how to make sure that cultural heritage is protected and how to act in the respect of local communities surrounding and environment. Very broad question, but let's take it from the cultural heritage. Protecting it is to allow people to be who they are in their country, to treat them with respect the same way that we would expect to be treated here or wherever your home may be when you would have guests. For example, I keep using Peru as an example, it's just easy, but there are people, the locals in the Sacred Valley in Cusco, who still maintain traditional dress and customs. One of the ways, just very simple, is not to rush up and to automatically assume that we can take a picture of them without asking their permission. It is to view people as in their home and not as characters at a theme park simply because they're dressed in a colorful and what might be a fanciful way. Again, if we're visiting villages or towns that might be remote, are they benefiting from it? Or are they, again, is it imposed on them? Are they showing us what is their authentic cultural heritage? Or are they trying to give us something that they think we want to see? One of the best ways to protect cultural heritage is to make sure that the people that you are engaging with are part of the process, that they have some say in what is happening with them and their engagement with you, and that they are benefiting from it. I hope that answers your question completely. Again, in regard to carbon offsets, excuse me. Hi, thank you, Robert. Again, carbonfund.org, a number of the organizations allow you to offset your carbon footprint simply by putting your flights in. That is the easiest way, and they make it very easy for you to find, very easy for you to calculate, and very easy for you to do the offset. And in fact, you often have a choice of offsetting it in a number of ways. You can purchase carbon tonnage offset, or you can plant trees, which is a favorite of a lot of people. So you do have a variety of solutions there. But the best way is to go to those organizations and do them directly. That is the greenest way to fly at this time. Could you go into a bit more depth about how best to identify the local community businesses? That is a great question. Sometimes it's not always easy to do, but ask the locals. I mean, if you're going on a cruise to some of the Caribbean islands, the shops that are not locally owned and operated are, easily identified. I'm certainly not going to name names. I don't want to get into any trouble, but we know what they are. If you cruise, you've seen a lot of these stores on the same island. Try to source locally, even if you have to ask. If you are on a cruise or at a resort, you can ask the concierge or the staff there what would be the best. in places like Africa, South America, they're going to be a little bit easier to source, and particularly the restaurants. So when we say buying locally, it's not just buying goods, but it's also um, eating at locally owned restaurants, again, so that the community is benefiting directly from it. And your guides, your tour outfitter should be able to assist you with that. And again, please don't hesitate to ask your travel advisor, or if you are a travel advisor, to ask your DMCs about that specifically. Um, so in regard to that, again, the best way to identify the local businesses that would benefit would be to ask your guides. They probably would be thrilled that you asked. And then I think the next step down would be either at your hotel or your accommodation. But you're going to be able to tell if it's not a locally owned business, I think, pretty quickly. Daniela, thank you. I appreciate that. How do I choose the partners that I work with, and how do you know if they have an eco-friendly approach or sustainable program? That is a great question, and something I would encourage all travel advisors to look into. A lot of the companies, so in the instance of a tour operator, which is what Evolve Traveler is, and most of the companies that travel advisors and or guests would buy from, also known as an outfitter. We work with them on a wholesale basis. And in that case, it's up to us to do the research. So if you're working with me, with the Evolve Traveler, or you're working with Abercrombie and Kent, or whomever it might be, they should be sourcing their component. If you're going to Egypt, or you're going to Turkey, or wherever it may be, they should be working with companies that have this same philosophy. It is up to the individual company, travel advisor, or even the guest consumer to ask those questions. What are your sustainability programs? What are your eco-friendly approach? And I think this is I love this question, because what it does is we all have to engage in the process, from the consumer to the travel advisor to the travel provider, the supplier, the service provider. Everybody has to be involved in the process. And when we are, then the most good is going to be done. So we choose our partners by those who share our philosophy. And I'm very adamant about that. And all of them that we work with do have the eco-friendly and sustainable approach. If you are working with other companies, please ask them, or please ask your travel advisor to ask the companies they're working with what their sustainability programs are. That was the last question I see on the list, and I think at that we are just a couple minutes over, so I will end it there. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending today. Thank you for giving me your time and listening to my thoughts on sustainability. Again, hopefully this is just a little bit of a takeaway that we can all use. And just to recap, the philosophies are very simple. To protect our environment, to protect cultural heritage, to protect our animals and wildlife, and to respect all the cultures that we visit and the places and destinations that we visit. Thank you. Again, you can reach me at justin.s@evolvetraveler.com. Thank you again.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you very much for this presentation. It was really interesting. If you have any additional question, you can submit them to marketing@positiveluxury.com, and we'll forward them to Justin. Thank you again, Justin. It was a great webinar with you. It was a pleasure for us. Thank you, and talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.